Welcome to the Magic Tile Editor introduction. After the package is imported, a window will appear to help through the rest of the installation process. First, we need to import some resources into the assets folder that the editor will later use. This is necessary because otherwise you will not be able to edit those assets. After that, we have to add 2 Unity scenes to the build settings so that they can be loaded at runtime. When this is done, the editor scene opens in the background, which we can use for testing. If the TextMesh Pro package has not yet opened the welcome window, it will do so after the first start of play mode. Here we are again requested to load various TextMesh Pro resources. This is necessary because the tile editor uses TextMesh Pro for its UI. So we go ahead and load those resources into the project and skip on all the additional content. If you navigate to the resources folder, you will find the user settings asset, where various project-specific settings can be made. At the top you can set the tile size, which defines how big a tile in the grid is. You will also find the navigation settings here, which I will discuss in a separate video. Next we can jump into play mode and familiarize ourselves with the runtime editor. At the top of the screen you can see the input options in the current editor mode. At the bottom of the screen are the tiles that you can currently select. If the current selection is too close to the camera, I can switch to the alternative input mode by pressing the Control key. Here I can change the distance of the selection with the mouse wheel. If we now want to place the tile with the left mouse button, we get a warning saying that we have not loaded a tile scene yet. To change this, we can either press L to get into the scene selection window, or we open up the window manager with Tab and press the icon for the scene selection. In the upper text field, we see the path where the tile scene files are stored, and the small home symbol to the right always navigates us back to this folder. To create a new tile scene, we enter a name in the text field below and click on the button. Our newly created tile scene now appears in the list down below. To load it into the editor, we click on it. Now we can see that the editor has loaded the created tile scene and populated it with its default values. Now we can place, rotate and delete our tiles. Next we open the text window where we can limit the current tile selection. This way we can keep an overview even with a large number of tiles and can, for example, more easily work with soils first and then place vegetation later. Now we open the scene settings window to make various settings to the currently open scene. In the upper area we see various categories, starting with the light settings. Here we can set the color, intensity, shadow and ambient for the scene and its sunlight. The second category is the weather settings. Here we can turn fog either on and off, change the color or adjust the distance. The third category is the render settings, and here you can set the camera draw distance and bake occlusion culling. I will discuss occlusion culling in a separate video because there are a few things to consider here. The fourth category is the skybox settings, and here you can either turn on or off the skybox, which will cause the camera to simply render background color. If the use of the skybox is enabled, one can be selected from the list below. Now that we've learned about the runtime editor, let's take a look at how to create new tiles that can later be used to build levels. We open the Magic Tile Editor resources folder and navigate to the example prefabs. For demonstration purposes, we create a new prefab from existing ones. Duplicate the floor prefab and open it. This floor is exactly 4 by 4 meters, matching the settings we made in the user settings asset. Now we place some torches on the floor and exit the prefab mode. Next we create a tile asset that contains all the information we need to work with it in Runtime Editor. Each tile asset has a unique ID that identifies it. This ID is independent of Unity's internal asset ID. Next we can assign a name for the tile, which will be displayed in the editor. In the tags list, we can add various tags to make it easier to find tiles during the level creation process. The immutable option is still functionless and is meant for gameplay purposes. When a game is designed to modify tiles at runtime, then this field can be used to prevent special tiles from being changed by the player. The single tile at position option means that no other tile can be placed where this tile already is. Of course, the consequence of this is that this tile cannot be placed anywhere where other tiles are already present. The following occluder, occludee and navigation options will be covered in a separate video and are not relevant for now. In the preview icon field, you can specify an icon that will be displayed for this tile in the Runtime Editor UI. And finally, the prefab field, where we can now select our previously created prefab. To simplify the creation of icons, an image of the selected tile can be automatically generated by pressing the button below. Now that we have created new tile editor content, we need to make sure that this content is accessible during runtime. Whenever tile scene content should be loaded, be it for use in the edit mode or just to load a tile scene for gameplay purposes, we need a tile scene manager instance. When selecting the tile scene manager inside Unity, the inspector script will make sure to load all tile assets located in our project, as long as the option for that is enabled. If you don't want this behavior, simply uncheck it. So make sure to click on your tile scene manager whenever you have created a new tile asset. Go ahead and enter play mode. The newly created tile should be present in the selection below. To place it, open the previously created tile scene and enjoy building. For further info on all Magic Tile Editor functions, take a look at the documentation or check my YouTube channel. If there are any questions or bugs you have encountered, then head over to the Discord channel where I will try to help as fast as possible. All relevant links are in the video description below.